Hawaiian Islands to Orient, contact clearance for every 126.5.
And Chalk 6 is taking fire. Okay, convert south of the river. I see you coming to the red guys. I just called them. You see them well.
Since the dawn of the first age, by the elders it was foretold, a mighty few that would rise when needed most. Their words would inspire enlightenment among the common. As it was prophesied, it has come to pass. Everybody has a podcast.
Gentlemen, I was thinking today, as I often do, are you familiar with, and this kind of ties back to some of what we've talked about actually already, so I'm sure you're familiar with, you'll see these little memes that pop up, or these little inspirational quotes that pop up on Facebook. The only rest you earn is, or the only rest you earn is the rest you keep. What's that saying?
I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Good job, Ryan.
Well, all of these little motivational quotes, I've noticed they're always accompanied by pictures of people working out or really just busting their ass. And great, so be it. But you guys tell me what you think, and this coming from the guy who needs to lose 50 pounds. My struggle has never really been putting in the extra mile when I go to the gym. That's, I'll do that. To me, that's easy because that involves no thinking or no strategy. It's just a matter of go do it. The harder you work, it's just mindless work. The harder you work, the more results. To me, motivation and what I struggle with, much trickier. It's like, go to work from 9 to 5 every day and do a 100% good job all day long, while you're there. There's much more minute things that get in everybody's way than these broad generalizations of work harder, and then here's a picture of some guy who can lift 500 pounds. Why is most of this accompanied by these pictures rather than some guy sitting in an office, with a thing full of paperwork? Like, I know why, but what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's because in all three of us, we all work in some facet of IT, / decision making / 24/7 availability. I'm drunk right now, but if somebody calls me and they say, hey, the server's down, I got to stop right now and go fix the server.
After the show.
Yeah. It's easy for the 250-pound girl from accounting who all she does is literally pay bills. Like, her entire job is just mind-numbingly put numbers into a computer. It's easy for her to be, to have to push herself to be perfect at the gym or eating or, push herself in that regard because she can't push herself anymore in her current position. Whereas us three, we've got to analytically think about long-term strategy, budgeting, what we're going to do in 6 months of what we're going to, So you can't. Your job is not 8 to 5. None of us are 8 to 5. I don't think.
No.
We're sitting at home. We're laying down with our females, and we're saying, and we're watching TV. Watch The Bachelorette with our woman, trying to make her happy.
Biggest Loser.
Yeah, or whatever. But we're really thinking about, how do I cut expenses by 5% or 10%, this quarter on my budget while still maintaining the same level of productivity / service. And
But I mean, is the main grind that people really need to get motivated to? Well, look, the gym's a big one. Like, everybody's a fat ass, but that's easy. It really is. It's just a matter of doing it. I mean, is it not? What's really killing us are these smaller, more minute things. Like, how do we rally and motivate and create propaganda to really push forward on that? Like, don't just fucking surf Reddit for the next 15 minutes. Actually, do work. Like, how do you make a motivational thing of that?
Damn entertaining.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Ryan, I think, for me, like, talking about the pictures, I always have the picture of, like, the, super really good in shape person at the gym. I think those sayings are more, propagated by personal trainers or football coaches, that sort of thing. I mean, that's kind of what you hear all the time there. So I think that's what people mostly subliminally probably associate with it. I think the challenge is, like you said earlier, too, when you get off of work, no matter what your day is, and finding that time to either go to the gym or clean your bathroom or, you know, fix your garage or, you know, those minute details that you put aside, because we all have priorities in life. Every one of us, you know, some people it is work. Like for us, like I think the biggest probably danger of anyone's life is when they get to a certain point where their job becomes one of the most important things they have. And I think you reach a certain point in life where you try to climb that corporate ladder and you make it, you have a certain amount of success, and it's not where you want to end up, but you know, you're proud of what you've accomplished so far and you like the direction you're heading in. I think you can somehow be trapped by that. You can be trapped by your own success, and work becomes the biggest priority. Yeah, because you start rationalizing, man, you know, if I lost this job, I couldn't pay my rent or my mortgage. Yep. I couldn't, you know, pay child support, or couldn't take care of my kids, or you know, you start basically psyching yourself out of doing other things other than concentrating on work. One of the hardest things to do is when you actually love your job. You know, the easiest thing in the world to do is when you hate your job or don't give a shit about it. That's some of the most peaceful time. You know, I've been there. You know. I worked at a job. I worked at a job that they announced that the stores were closing, and I basically had 3 months where I realized I wasn't going to have a job after 3 months, and I knew my employees; they all knew, and they didn't give a shit anymore, and I didn't expect them to. And that was, you know, I came to work every day out of personal pride and busted my butt. But then again, I didn't have that attachment to it anymore, so it was most blissful. Didn't give a shit. Probably 3 months of my life. With that being said, you know, now that I generally like what I do, you know, I'm willing to work more hours than I should. Or like you said, Clark, think about it when I shouldn't. You know, work too much. Workaholic, people call it. And it can be unhealthy. I think loving your job or being dedicated to your job, too, can be too healthy. Because I think you take your eye off the ball. You know, those small details add up to big details. So whether it's fixing the sink that's got a leak, and then tomorrow you come home and your kitchen's flooded. Or it's spending time with your loved one, or, you know, whatever it is, reading that book you've been wanting to read. I can't do that, man. I'm too tired. Or going to the gym is probably a really good example. Because like you said, Ryan, just going is 98% of the battle. Just going and getting on the machine that's engineered to make you less fat. You know, all you have to do is jump on the machine and follow directions. But just getting to the gym, making that commitment to say, I'm going to go to the gym, you know, because we psych ourselves out. I'm like, oh man, I can't. I got a meeting tomorrow, and I got a podcast later, you know. So I think we're all guilty of that. I would like to see one of those one time with some guy in a mailroom, you know, like stuffing envelopes and with some kind of inspirational address, you know, like. I don't know, like the one Ryan nailed earlier.
Well, like no, it's like Billy. It's what Billy said is, I've had. Sorry, I'm drunk.
We should do drunk history right now. It's so funny.
I've been offered jobs that $20,000-$30,000 more a year. Period. They're in the same area. There's no excuse to not take those jobs, and I didn't do it because. You know, there's too many unknowns. Like, what if I hate that job? What if they hate me? I'm comfortable where I'm at. Should I really move? Not really. I'm okay. And it's easy to stagnate and have a theoretical goal that you're supposed to be pursuing rather than just taking the leap. So it's easier to talk about bullshit than do it.
Well, I love where I work, and I love who I work for, and almost everything about the company, I really do. You know, and I'm human, so I have my days where I bitch about stuff that are first world problems. But essentially, I sit in an office. So I hate that. I hate that part about my job, and sometimes that's all I focus on because, like we've talked about it before, Ryan, how, you know, men weren't meant to sit in an office underneath fluorescent light all day. You know, we were meant to hunt and procreate and, you know, paint on walls, and I don't know. You know, I'm just basically now I've just took us back to the Cro-Magnon era, but you know, we're genetically predisposed not to sit in an office all day. You know, so sometimes we focus on the shit that doesn't matter, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel, and that's just all distraction, right? We create those for ourselves every day, all day.
But I will say this, Ryan, I do get motivated sometimes by the corniest shit, and it isn't stuff on Facebook because I'm immediately jaded when I see that stuff just from prior experience. But there is like movie quotes. Like there's a scene in the movie Any Given Sunday. There's a scene in that movie. It's a movie about pro football.
I love that movie, and I don't like sports at all.
It's a great movie. Yeah, it's a great movie. There's a scene in that movie right before the team, the protagonist team plays in a big game, and kind of like it's the general scenario. The odds are stacked against them, and the coach has got to rally them. And Al Pacino, one of my favorite actors of all time, Michael Corleone, he gives them a speech, and I'm telling you guys, if you're ever in a situation where you don't give a shit one day, YouTube it. It's Any Given Sunday Speech, and it'll pop right up. And just listen to that damn thing. And even if you don't give an absolute two shits about sports, listen to that. It'll fire you up so much, And I'm embarrassed to admit it because it's like some guy in a studio somewhere wrote it. He probably didn't give two shits about it. He just like, I'm going to write 5 of these, and hopefully the producer and director pick one of them. But it strikes a chord with me, So I can see how people can take that and run with it. Ryan, is there anything odd or weird that you like or motivates you about that kind of stuff?
Well, I fall for all of that stuff too. It works, but my problem is it's like it'll be 1:30 on a Tuesday, and I'm not feeling like doing anything else anymore. And yeah, I see these pictures, and I'm like, great, but I can't go lift weights right now, and that's what that pumps me up to do. Like, I need something to motivate me right now, so that I can sit down and focus and crank out more shit until it's 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, you need to be motivated at 5:30 to go to the gym, and that's hard.
It's almost like you need one of those motivational pictures of a guy standing in an unemployment line. This could be you unless you get your shit together.
Do we want to listen to the Al Pacino speech from Any Given Sunday?
Oh, dude, play it.
All right.
Play it. I'll get a podcast wood.
Let's check it out.
For championships. In the meantime, we're back to another dang commercial.
I don't know what to say, really. 3 minutes till the biggest battle of our professional lives. All comes down to today. Either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen. Believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. Now, I can't do it for you. I'm too old. I look around, I see these young faces, and I think, I made every wrong choice a middle-aged man can make. I pissed away all my money, believe it or not. I chased off anyone who's ever loved me. And lately, I can't even stand the face I see in the mirror. When you get old in life, things get taken from you. That's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. Hell yeah. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's gonna win that inch. And I know if I'm gonna have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. The 6 inches in front of your face. Now I can't make you do it. You gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're gonna see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's the team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals. That's football, guys. That's all it is. Now, what are you gonna do?
Okay, I mean, I can see that pumping me up on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, so like, okay, so I think it's contextual, like, because I know it's about football, it doesn't do a whole lot for me. But there have been micro speeches that Billy has given to me whenever I was working underneath Billy that pumped me up.
Clark,
And those
we're gonna have to let you go if you don't get your shit together. It's not an inspirational speech. It's just kind of the
No.
it's just kind of the bottom line.
Clark, you're gonna have to actually wear pants next time. That's-
These speeches were literally what spoke to me in my heart. And they were literally, Clark, I need you to go out there and I need you to manipulate every motherfucker out there to do your bidding. And that's the only way you'll succeed. And that got me fucking pumped. Like, I was like, that's what I want to do. So, I don't know. I think it's all contextual. Like, Billy, I know, Billy, like, you thrive off of the, like, be successful, like, push every fucking inch, like, do it. Like, this is, like, it's that little extra that fucking makes you a champion. But Billy knows about me that I require, like, obtain power that you don't deserve by crushing other people. Like, Billy knows that about me. So it's all contextual, I think. So, like, if I see a post on Facebook that says, you can do an extra 20 pounds on, blah, 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 what's your excuse? I'm like, me. But if it's like, why don't you rule the world yet? You're smart enough. Then I'm like, I am smart enough.
Well, I think it's important from a motivational standpoint. I think you're right. It is contextual. And I think good leaders or people that motivate, and I've had a lot of them in my life that I've had the opportunity to listen to them, have always made it make sense to you. So when I heard that, I played football for a very long time. I love it. I'm ate up with it. I'm a middle-aged, out-of-shape guy, and I still have this thought I could go out there and still play. And I know that's not true, but I still have that. Like, listen to that, I was just like, I want to suit up.
I think you could do. I think you could do 4 downs.
I'm fairly certain that I'd get ran in a powder puff game right now. But no, I listen to that just fires me up. But what I hear, even though I have this like strong athletic background, like, and that's I'm really into sports, almost too much. Well, I hear all the life stuff, the life lessons, because like whether it's work or your life, that stuff speaks to me because the lessons you learn, whether you're, whatever you're involved in extracurricular, you learn very important lessons about adversity and overcoming. Because, dude, to be honest with you, sometimes life sucks.
It always correction. It always sucks.
Yeah, I'd say the majority of the time.
1%. Yeah, there's a 1% of the time where it doesn't suck.
And I think the people that deal with it the best, like one of my favorite quotes, and this always speaks to me anytime, stuff gets turned upside down, life or work or whatever, is life's 10% of what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And I try to live my life by that because, like, really realistically speaking, there's a lot that goes on that we have control over, but a lot of the negative things that happen to us, unless you're just a dipshit and need to make better life choices, is stuff that just is kind of unavoidable. It is what it is. It's a big cliche, but it's a very applicable one.
No, you're right.
And kind of what makes you a man or the person you are is what do you do next? Some people curl up into a ball and just quit. I'm done with this. I can't do this. And you're with that mentality, in my opinion, you're going to lose every time.
Yep.
Well,
no, like I constantly say I don't voluntarily work with anybody in IT unless I know they've been in a situation where they cried or almost cried and then fixed it anyways.
Well, we know what motivates Clark because Clark, you're very, very good. And when I said manipulating, I meant that, But again, I knew my audience, So I realized if I said, Clark, you need to go inspire people, you were gonna, say, okay, fuck you, So I cut to the, because a good leader, that's what they do. They manipulate people. And manipulate's always considered a bad word or a negative word.
Well, it's required.
Well, it's not all. I mean, you can manipulate somebody to be the best they've ever been. And how is that a negative? Ryan, what motivates you? Like what, nothing that I said, but like what motivates you in general? Like what kind of gets to your core?
Man, that's something that I'm struggling with right now is it's hard to really fire me up these days. Things aren't horrible, things are okay. There's definite goals I need to set, or I need to achieve, and they're all obtainable, they're all doable. It's just a matter of I got to do it. Yeah, weird spot for me right now, man. I'm. This is going to sound really egotistical. I don't know any other way to say this. I'm too smart to be like tricked by these little pictures and shit that work for a lot of people. Like I realize that life is like it's a long play. The game, it's a long game that you're going to play.
Yep.
Yeah.
So but with that being said, some of this short-term motivation would jumpstart some of that. If I could get myself in that mode.
Well, it's I don't mean to go back to this, but like Dave Ramsey, he literally says, you don't make one decision either way that makes or breaks your life. You win or die by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
It's every decision, it's 2 or 3 decisions you make every day. Not going for that fucking Whataburger or McDonald's, for lunch that you wanted to have. It's obviously financial oriented, but it pertains to your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Contextually, it would be telling your wife or your girlfriend that you love her every day instead of, even though you're just not feeling it, like pat her on the butt and tell her you love her like every day. And that's how you win or lose by 1,000 cuts. And,
you said cuts, not cunts, right?
Yeah, I mean, whichever works for
1,000
you.
cunts will do it too.
But literally, that's how you win or lose. And I firmly believe that after observing my own life, at least, it is, it's small decisions every day that allow you to win or lose in certain situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're 100% right there, Clark. And Ryan, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Because third party. I'm not going to suck your balls here, but I got to speak. Be honest. You got a good setup, man. You got a good job. You got a great girlfriend. You guys, have a great thing going. You got a nice pad where you live. I mean, from the outside looking in, you've got a nice setup. And of course, there's things that you would like to upgrade, and you have goals. But internally, it's tough not to be complacent with that, right? We all go through it, and I guarantee people listening to us have gone through that. You grind every day. You grind so hard, and you finally get payback, right? You finally get that payoff. What's in it for you? You get that, and you find yourself in this weird, like, you're starting to see your return on investment or your results. You're starting to see your results, and it's really hard to put the pedal back on the floor, because you finally got a chance to enjoy it. And that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, those little things, those little distractions, or those little things that kind of takes our eye off the prize.
It's hard to keep your eye on the prize when you can buy a TV.
Sure. No, absolutely. You're 100% right, and I think that there's certain things, like certain life changes, that will inspire you back to it. Getting married or getting engaged, that's kind of like a life kick in the butt for a male, because now you realize that, man, there's stuff I got to take care of. I don't have a kid yet, but I'm assuming, Clark, you might be able to, having kids.
No, it's fine. You don't have to worry about that.
No, it's always been my contention that it's much harder to come out of the middle rather than the bottom. The bottom, you're uncomfortable. You're making $12 an hour, you're barely paying rent. It's easy to work hard to get out of there because you're uncomfortable. Man, and the second you get comfortable, it gets a lot harder to crawl out of that, because you might not be a millionaire, but you're doing all right,
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Well, there's a saying. I know this is going to sound cliche, and I'm full of them, so bear with me. There's a saying that I think about all the time, because I think it's true. The only way to truly change somebody, so if we're talking about us, the only way to truly change us is either with pain or pleasure. Now, when I say pleasure, obviously I'm talking about, like, in this sense, would be monetary or lifestyle. If I do X, Y, and Z, I can get the the new condo or buy this house.
The Mercedes instead of
Yeah.
instead of the Kia.
Or if I don't do this, I'll lose everything I have. So those are the things that motivate us, right? What we possibly could have, the dangling carrot, or our greatest fear. And we've talked about this before on the show. Our greatest fear is not being providers, not having, and these are all the same problems that every person that has started their professional lives, that once they get out of college, they realize that life's not college and it sucks. So the first thing you want to do is go back. You want to go back to that. So these are all normal things. And I think the secret, and I don't have it figured out because I struggle with it too. As much as I'm ate up with speeches like we just heard, I mean, there's certain days where, I'll go into work and I'm just like, God damn it, I'm way better than I'm working right now. What's the deal, Some people, it's a pot of coffee, I think the important thing is just you got to find that thing. Sometimes it's just a conversation that we'll have, like a real quick Facebook conversation about stupid shit. One of you guys will post like an Imgur link, and I'll laugh, and I'll send the big thumbs up, and Ryan will get pissed because he can't send the big thumbs up back, and like it's just that small like intermission.
Yep.
And you kind of get perspective again. You go back to what you're doing, So that's one of the reasons not to kind of sidebar this, but I think Europe has it figured out more than us because they have more time off. They allow their people, like Clark, you say you're off Fridays, you have 3-day weekends. They allow their people more time away from their jobs. And I'm a big believer in you gain perspective and a new energy when you have that time away.
Yeah, I do the same amount of work.
Right.
And I tell you what the biggest motivator for me is, and I know we're running long on this, but
So she said.
My biggest motivator, genuinely, is I put myself in very volatile situations. And then I require the only way I'm going to survive is I work my way out of it. Like I'll buy a new technology because I'm in IT. I'll buy a new technology I don't fully understand, and it's already bought. It's coming.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to serve our needs, but I don't understand it fully. So it's on me at that point to implement and figure it out, and that makes me grow. You have to put yourself in situations that are out of your comfort zone. If you're not willing to do that, you're not going to grow. Period. It doesn't matter what picture you see on Facebook. You have to be willing to put yourself in awkward situations that could mean life or death, in a financial sense or whatever, and push yourself. If you're not pushing yourself, you're dying.
Yeah. We kind of going back to where the conversation started with these memes about the motivational memes and stuff. For some people that works. It's somebody somewhere has to look at that, and it may get them through their day. So in that sense, I hate them less, because they work. Because I was exposed to it. I was just like anyone was when I used to hear motivational speeches for a long time. I was like, this is total bullshit. Like this is, we're playing a game. This is a game. I'm 13 years old. Like I just want to go home and play Super Nintendo. I dated myself there, but anyway. But like I was put in situations as well where you start buying into it a little bit, because it's an ethos. You kind of start buying into it, and I've seen it work. Like I've personally experienced situations that I was put in that I never thought I could ever achieve a certain goal, and just because this guy was feeding me this line of stuff, and I finally decided to buy into it, whether it was willingly or just by conditioning. I saw myself achieve things that I didn't think were possible myself. That's a powerful moment because then you realize, as stupid as it may look from the outside looking in, stuff works. It's effective. It's not effective for everyone. I wish there was a magic pill that we could all take. I guess there is. It's you snort it through your nose. I guess that's the magic productivity powder. But I don't know, Ryan. I mean, in your past, have what has motivated you in the past? Like, are there things that that have kind of struck you and got you going, or are those things not working? Or
healthy competition typically has done it for me. Particularly over the long term. When I kind of what Clark was saying, when I kind of in my mind can create that competition, even though it doesn't really exist, that works. It has to be competitive. That's traditionally, and I think males are probably more attuned to that. That would probably work more for males than it would females, I would imagine.
It's possible. My wife and I are trying to have a baby right now, and anybody that's been through that, any males listening or females listening, realize it becomes very structured. Very structured. But the fun part of that is my wife is also a nurse, and she teaches nurses. She'll throw out fun facts sometimes. And she threw out a fun fact the other day, and she's like, when we're the most fertile, we're the most catty against other women. And I was like, really? It kind of explains a lot, because as men, we all automatically assume, the PMS, because girls have Wi-Fi. They'll if they're around each other long enough, they'll sync their cycles, their PMS.
They're just trying to force their seed.
But when they sync their PMS, they also sync their fertile periods, their ovulation periods. So it would make sense though, because if you look at it from a scientific standpoint, it totally makes sense. Because back in the day, they're competing for male mates.
Yep.
So they're trying to procreate. So that's why they're more catty. So that kind of stuff's interesting to me, So I think the females have it in them too. I think with guys though, testosterone's a bitch.
Well, no, like one of my stories that I always tell everybody, I bet when it regards to competition is, Circuit City days. Billy just got in his own store, and Sea-Dog was kind of like, I don't know what the fuck I was. I was a PC technician that just kind of fucking sold shit, but like everybody wanted to make me feel good. Because I sold so fucking much and I inspired others to sell so much. But no, like, I was God. I was God of Waco. Like, nobody could touch me. I could fucking jack around. Didn't have to fucking listen to anybody. I just kind of hung out. Because I sold so much shit and I made other people sell so much shit. I had shit ironed out for other people. I wasn't even a manager. Then Billy got his own store somewhere else. And Billy's like, "Hey, come work for me over here in this piece of shit."
It was a piece of shit too.
There's no reason why I should have left Waco ever. I left Waco to go to Billy's store because I wanted to prove it was me. Like, because I guess in my mind, I felt as though people had kind of thought that it wasn't me. Like, it was store culture. Bullshit. It was me.
Right.
And so, like, I wanted to go, and I went to the shittiest fucking store in the district.
It was shit.
It was shit. We had, instead of, like, this big elaborate tech bench, we had a fucking chain rope fucking shelf.
It was shit, yeah.
And went over there, and we started fucking beating Waco. And, like, that was ultimate vindication for me. Like, I wanted that. I wanted that, like, retribution. Like, I wanted people to understand that it was me. And that's not normal. Like, that's not normal for females to do. That's not normal for most males to do. Most people just want to be comfortable. And I completely just left everything I felt as though I had built. And I know there was help from other people. But, like, I just left because I wanted to, like, prove something. And I don't think enough people want to prove anything these days,
Well, Clark, I think that's, it's probably an extreme personality trait, probably more ego than most people. But that also can drive you to be super successful. Some of the most successful people in the world have one of the largest egos there is. I mean, Ryan, have you ever heard or seen a book called Know Your Strengths? Were you exposed to that ever in the corporate world?
I don't think so. It sounds like a very corporate thing.
It is, and it's a really hard read. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not, it's not a great read. But with the book, there comes like a key. And you go to a website and you take a personality test, basically. And I did it. I did it with a company. They paid for it. But I read the book, took the test, and I thought it was complete garbage. Like all of them seem to be.
Yeah.
And, it's like a 200-question test, if I remember correctly. It may, that may be incorrect. But I remember being long, and you had to answer very fast. Every question, I had a time limit, and you had to answer very quickly. And basically what it did is it just kind of measured your personality, what's important to you. Of course, if you fucking lie on it, it's not going to be accurate. But I did it sincerely. And about a month later, we had a meeting, and they handed out these little pages, and it was a personality profile, but it was more, you had 5 strength categories. And from this test, it gave you 5 strength categories and a description of each strength and kind of the person that has them. I guess it would be similar to like a corporate horoscope, I guess, but it was done actually with your input and not just by zodiac and celestial stuff. And reading this, I mean, when they handed me the paper, like, I was literally like, would rather wipe my ass with it. I just thought the exercise was completely stupid. But reading these strengths, like, it was literally like looking in the mirror. And that was an awkward moment for me because, like, we all see ourselves. Sometimes we see ourselves way too highly than we really are, and that was when the ego and testosterone comes in. But we also may have days that we're not feeling so great about ourselves, and maybe your mood swing. You don't see it, you're not feeling as confident. We're reading these strengths. It also kind of leverage the things that you need to work on. And man, that was eye opening. And Ryan, I would encourage you or anybody listening that if you're interested in that stuff, to check that out because. Once you understand what your strengths are, number 1 for me was competition. And it read the competition part of it. Number 2 for me was an activator. And activator was basically you're impatient. So when you come up with a plan, you want to roll it out immediately.
That's how I am, yeah.
And number 3 for me was strategic, which means you like to plan things. So if you look at that, right, you look at it from beginning to end, it basically is like, I can't fucking stand to lose. And if I'm in a situation where I think I'm going to lose, I may stop playing, you know? And I'm prone to that sometimes. If I'm in a situation where, like, I feel like it's hopeless, like, I'll find something else to do. And I fight that. I fight that a lot because, you know, in life, that's a terrible thing to have. And in work, it's a terrible thing to have, too, because you got to overcome it. But it was really eye-opening for me, and it helped me a bunch in my corporate life, you know, in the work life. I would encourage you, Ryan, just to Google it. You know, hell, it may be free now. It's been a while. Yeah.
To the listeners, we'll put a link in the show notes for this episode. So we'll track it down, and you can do that too.